Teima kesareti kesarenini. Noresate bagasarenini America. Welcome. Madakasareti kesarenini America. Back to this remembrance space. Madakasareti kesarenini America. Back to you. Soredabekasarenini America. Back to us. Nadadakesarenini America. And so welcome everybody. It's wonderful to have you here in this amazing transformational space. Know that any messages that come through are meant to activate something within you, some kind of remembrance. And also, as we continue to say, the space between the camera and this specific physical body that you see as me, as Rukmani. So welcome. I'm really excited to share these messages with you because when I was tapping in this morning about what is it that it's necessary to talk about today, it's about the vision. It's about the vision. It's about the awakening of this parts of us. And you know, as all these shifts are happening, and of course it's not that like it happens like this, right? And at the same time, it's a process. So it's not just, for example, that the third eye is just opening up and the rest are just not doing anything. Everything is opening up. However, one of the concentrations that is happening right now is the third eye, is the vision. It's a superhuman vision, as we said last week, if I believe correctly. And if you haven't tuned into that, I definitely recommend it, because even the messages to me, I was like, okay, cool, this is dope. So the superhuman vision, right? Your own intuition, but at the same time, there is so many channels there. And it's not just the intuitive part of you, but it's also about connecting it with, of course, your ancestors, with the land. So imagine that there is this, yes, we can call it an eye, but it's more like a little glass. What are those things called in English? You know, like a telescope. There you go. Thank you. Like a telescope. Okay. Imagine that this is like a telescope. So it can actually zoom in into many things that it really desires to, right? So if you are into the stars and the sky, like I am, you know, having a telescope is one of the coolest things that you can think of, which honestly, I haven't had a telescope yet, but you can actually point it in every single direction that you want. You can actually zoom in a little bit more, just like a camera before the sky, right? So if you really want to look into a planet, you can look into a planet. If you want to look into another constellation, you can do it, into a star. And depending of like how the actual telescope is, you can really go far in and to see something so amazing that you've been really intrigued by. Okay, this is the word, intrigued, curiosity, right? And so your third eye is something very similar to a telescope. Okay, so whenever you, let's just go back into it, because I was getting way out of this context. So the third eye is something very similar to a telescope. Okay, you can actually tune in into whatever it is that you want to tune in. However, before you do that, right, before you get into the space of like tuning in and out and like pointing into different directions, tuning in into different entities, different dimensions, different parts of yourself, ancestors, etc., like the whole thing, right, the web of connection, the web of connectivity, many things need to be released around it, all right? When I talk about release, and I've said this before, but just a reminder, it's not something like, okay, bye, you throw into the trash, okay? It's integration. Because, of course, anything that has been blocking anything in your system has been put there for you, because of you, and from you, okay? So it's not that you just go like, okay, bye, I don't need this anymore, because then you're creating separation. So what we do, you know, is integration, okay? So it's like, why did I put this kind of cloud-looking thing on top of my intuitive spark, intuitive center, okay? So they having the inquiry rather than saying like, I don't need you, bye, then it actually creates that space, opens up the space and the channels of communication from whatever it is that you put on top of, like, we're just talking about the third eye right now for the example, okay? On top of your intuitive lens, I gotta clean the lens, Mildy. Yeah, so intuitive lens, okay? And just kind of like open up the communication and be like, okay, so why did I put you here? Okay, why were my belief systems back then? Was there actually mine, or I just grabbed it from somebody else? You know, maybe I saw my parents do that. I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, like I gotta follow my parents. You know, most kids, you know, most of us as kids kind of do the same thing, because imagine like you are this like the tiny little being, and you're looking at this ginormous being as your parents, and you think like, well, you know, they're taller, so they must have like some kind of wisdom that I don't have, so I'm gonna follow their footsteps, right? This is how we learn. Most of us learn about seeing what other people are doing and repetition, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, you know? And our parents, I know our parents have done the best they can with their tools that they had, all right? But at the moment in time, you were just like following, yeah? So now that you're coming into the space of expansion even more within your being, then as all these things like, hello, as all these things, you know, they're coming up to the surface, they're tapping into all these clouds that were around your vision, your superhuman vision, yeah? And so as they tap it, it's coming up more so you can see it. So you can see it not only, you know, in a way with your physical eyes, but also with intuitive mind, with your heart, with your emotions, you know, with your mind. So that way you can actually open up the communication one more time, you know, and integrate it rather than you welcome it back, because this part, this cloud, it's not that it's just a cloud that was placed there by some kind of belief system and it's not yours. This cloud is actually a part of you that is wrapped around this cloud, okay? So there's a nucleus within this cloud, and it's wrapped around this cloud. So the moment that you begin to integrate it and welcome it back in a way, kind of just saying like, okay, you know, why are you here? How can I talk to you? How can I integrate this part of you? You know, I'm here listening. Then begins to open up kind of like a flower, you know, and blooms, and it shows you what's inside, which what's inside is a part of you that was in a way hiding behind this cloud, okay? So this is one of the parts of integration of the third eye. And this happens all throughout your system too. You know, there's different ways of integrating. This is just one of them, okay? And now as this does it, now that you're integrating, it goes back to you, meaning you love yourself even more. You accept yourself even more. There's no separation because there's no more like, I don't want this anymore. It's just like, this is me, you know? How can I throw this part away? If it's me, that will just create more tension and more separation. So then you welcome it back, and then you're like, all right, cool. As you welcome these parts of you back, these little clouds, okay, they were around the intuitive center, then your telescope, I was saying right before, for some of you that just tuned back in, that your third eye is like a telescope, okay? So then the telescope, the part where you can move around, is actually expanding, okay? Not that it was super small at the beginning. It has never been small, okay? This is like something that is, please like understand. It's not like your intuitive center was like super small and then all of a sudden it's like getting this big, right? It's always been ginormous without any limits, yeah? But what happens is with these clouds that were put around the vision, you know, it makes it seem that it's very small, and then perhaps even that you don't even have intuition, yeah? But your intuition is actually part of you, you know, you can't throw that away. It just in a way hides by these clouds, okay? So the more that you're able to integrate these clouds and integrate those parts of you that were covered by these clouds, again, more is more about your strength, your love, your confidence, your powers, your gifts, you know, it's all these really deep parts of yourself. They're coming back to you. So now as that is happening, the channels open up more, the clouds kind of go like, you know, when the sun begins to come out from a cloudy day, right? And the clouds move around so we can see the sun, is like very similar to the motion, yeah? And so this happens. And then, you know, the lens of the telescope, you can see it as bigger. You can have the sense that it's bigger, yeah? And so now the more bigger that you can feel it, the more it is that you can actually expand and look in different directions, okay? Like I was saying in the telescope, you can point it at any part of the sky and really begin to look at a star, a constellation, you know, like a planet, etc., right? Very similar with your third eye. Now, the more that all these clouds are integrating back into your system, the more that you can zoom in or zoom out into anything that you want to be involved, anything that you want to remember. Yeah. So for example, the wisdoms of your ancestors. It's like the wisdom of your ancestors run through your veins. Okay. Their intuition runs through your veins. They're already inside of you. But if this right here is not open, or let me change the words. If this right here is clouded, then it's more challenging to come into that intuitive nature that has been running through your veins your entire life and through like your entire family lineage. And so then when this is more clear, then the web of communication here can expand and the channels can go in any direction. Remember, there's no past, present, and future. Everything is happening at the same time. So through these channels is where you can actually also receive more messages from and teachings, you know, also healing from your ancestors, from your guides, from the planet, from other species, like you name it. Yeah. So there's no limits in this part. The limitation is in the mind. The limitation is in all these things that you have believed that you don't have an intuitive nature. You know, there's like, maybe some of you can say, if you really are, I love that, the ever unfolding rose. Yes. You can also, like, you know, sometimes like we have belief in, for sure, I have myself too, then I lost my intuition somehow. Yeah. But this is also like a part of the mind. You cannot lose it because it's part of you. Like you cannot lose the wisdom of your ancestors that live within you. Like you cannot lose the connectivity with the earth because you're part of the earth. You know, so like you cannot lose the connectivity with your guides. So it's always there. It's just something clouding that vision, you know, like so shifting the vision. But this is also like where it's so important to do the integration process, to understanding, not to run away from it. And so now that, like, you know, it's been a very challenging weeks, yeah? Very challenging weeks with my clients. You know, I have also been having challenging weeks, but it's like this thing about when all these challenges arises, right? Remember what we talked about last Monday, or this Monday, about the cauldron, your inner alchemy. The inner alchemy is just doing so much pressure because you're ready. You're ready to see more. You're ready to experience more. You're ready to integrate more of the clouds, and not just from the third eye, but from everything that is in your system. Because as the more clouded it is, you know, the more smaller you will feel. And remember, you're not small at all. You're not small at all. You're very powerful. And you already have all the magic within life. Remember, life force energy. The energy that allows a planet to bloom. The energy that allows a planet to be. For us to have this experience. For the rose to unfold. You know, it's the same energy that runs through you. You can see yourself, if you wish, if you can actually put this into imagination, that you are that rose, you know? So at times, like when we are going through this massive awakening process, you can see yourself like a little seed, right? So a seed has so much potential, and yet it's so tiny, right? We see it with the physical eyes as super tiny, but we don't really see, well, some don't really see the energetics in it. Because the energetics in it is everything. It has everything, just like you do. But the rose itself, or the seed itself, you know, it needs the nurturing from the earth. The seed itself needs the water. The seed itself needs the sun, the warmth, right? Somebody to take care of. So then it begins to crack through the shell, and then it begins to rise, right? This cracking, okay? This cracking is something that continuously happened. If you have been with the vision, because we're just talking about the vision right now, okay? So if the vision right here has been so clouded for so long, imagine, for example, that you're 40 years old and you just started to tune in more or remembering more your intuition for the past 3 years, right? So imagine about like 30 something years, there's just been so much cloudiness in here, right? So now as your intuitive nature is pulsating like the cauldron, right? It's sending signals for these clouds to like release, but it's just like the little seed. And yes, Jamil, thank you, you know? Seeds need darkness to grow, just like we do. So in here, you can see like the clouds is like very dark, like the soil, right? So the intuitive nature is penetrating through that. And you can see that, you can visualize that as the seed, okay, as the seed, that it needs to crack through all these clouds in order for the telescope to point into some kind of direction. Now, for example, if your guides have been sending you this really powerful healing or this powerful teaching to remember, yeah? And there's so much cloudiness, right? There has been so much cloudiness. That right there, that intuitive nature that runs through you from your ancestors will penetrate just like the little seed does and begin to grow, okay? So cracking. This is also when the body begins to crack too, okay? Energetically speaking, it cracks as well as physically when it cracks. It begins to crack, and what I'm talking about cracking is literally like this kind of crack, yeah? But more like, at times you might have seen my body, and I'm actually, it's actually doing it right now. So this is what I mean about crack, yeah? So it begins to crack and penetrate into something in order to open up more the vision of your intuitive center, of your telescope. So then the telescope can actually point directly. And when I say point, it's not like, okay, it's this way, yeah? But I'm just giving you an example. It points directly into the wisdom of the ancestors that have been trying to connect with you. Oh, la hermosa. So this is what happens. This is what happens. Now, there has been just so many things brewing. Okay, so many things brewing because the ancestors have been connecting so deeply with us. Okay, the ancestors, the land. Remember that the wisdom of the ancestors is the wisdom of the land. Whichever land you were born into, and also whichever land that you live in right now. Okay, because the lands is not like they're separate, just like the trees, right? The connectors of the trees go from down into the roots, and then one tree that is right here in Lawrence, Kansas can tune in into the tree that is in Thailand because there's no separation. There's just a web of communication. It's very similar with the wisdom of the land and the wisdom of your ancestors, yeah? It's here. It's the same kind of wisdom. It's just at times it's easier for some of you, or for some of us, it's much easier to tune in into the wisdom of the ancestors through the intuition rather than the wisdom of the land with the very subtle messages of the air. Okay, because that is more subtle. That doesn't mean that you cannot tune into that. But the more that this right here, the more that you integrate all those thought patterns, all those limited beliefs, and all those codes that you were not good enough, that you're powerless, that you're alone, and that you don't have intuition, and all of that, the more that you integrate that from the space of like, I know that's not me, but I know behind that there is a deeper essence of me, then it's more gentle. It's more gentle. And then that begins to release the clouds around your amazing telescope. And this is like a little organism, you guys. Like a little organism. That again, it's not that it can just point in another direction, like right, left, up and down, and all those kinds of things. Infinity, yeah? Whatever you think is past, present, future, like something that has never happened yet or something that has already happened, and all other dimensions and all other beings, like there is so much power right here, okay? So much power. And again, imagine just having your own telescope. Like your entire system as a whole is like a radio, like an antenna, right? But within that antenna, there's many different organisms. And this is one of the most powerful to you. Like, of course, the heart is super powerful as well. But right here, because then once this is in a point that is in a way, because what happens is as all these things begin to be integrated by you, right? With guidance from any direction that you feel at that moment that you're called for. As that continues to be integrated, now it becomes stronger. It becomes stronger. You might be able to see things differently. And what I mean about that, of course, like some of us have the ability to actually see the energetics of something, yeah? But what I think when I'm saying that too is about like seeing something physically, yet it's different, even though it hasn't been different. And it's different because now this is more open. in the way that is more clear, you know, in the way that you can actually see a little bit more, because you're seeing more because you're feeling more, and then that's sending something to the brain that is saying like, okay, there's something different here. I am different, because remember, you're changing, yeah? And in this awakening process is a shift that happens continuously. And if you're in it, you know, if you're being guided, or you're just like doing your own inner work, it expands massively very fast as well, okay? So here it is, you know, the really big opportunity. This is why had been so much like shadow work being done. You know, there's again different portals that happen throughout the year. And while the equinox is one of them, of course, full moon, but you know, the full moon and then the equinox was like 2 days later or something. So like here, all these portals were combined. They were actually strengthening each other. So then anything that were not resonated with you in the way that you're being guided to move towards you, then was able to come up to the surface. And at times when it feels like it's too clouded, and it feels that, you know, you go back into the space of like, am I crazy? Or like, I'm not feeling good enough, or not feeling that you have the strength or the confidence, you know, that's not you. You know, that's not you. That's the clouds and the stories of the clouds. Every single cloud has a story, yeah? Every single cloud has a story. And the more you welcome the story, the more intense it becomes. As in like when you believe it. But if you go into the space of like, okay, that's just a story, that's not really me. That is covering something that has a deep essence of me in it. An activation, if you will. So what happens here is that you shift, you know, you go from the space of like freaking out, you know, like the fight or flight mode too, into a more like calm state where you can actually feel and see things a little bit better. And in that space is when you can be like, okay, let's welcome this, you know, let's welcome myself back. And then slowly it can show you, you know, you have the ability to say like, all right, this is a little intense right now. If you feel it, let's go a little bit slower. Let's go a little more gentle. Yeah. I do believe, and this is from my own work in myself and guiding others, that the intensity that rises up is because you're ready for it. And it's because that intensity is also preparing you for something even bigger than that. I'm not talking about the intensity of it. I'm talking about receiving something, yeah? And so if that you feel that is too much for you, again, you have the option to be like, okay, time out. I just need a little breather, yeah? But at the same time, you know that the intensity, again, this is, and if this resonates with you, it's cool, okay? I'm not telling you this is how it is, but it's been in my story and also in the story of all the ones that I have been guiding and that I'm guiding right now, that they're ready for it. Otherwise, your system, as intelligent as it is, wouldn't be messing with you, honestly, yeah? It's not that your system goes like, how can I mess her up or him up right now? It's just saying like, okay, she or he is ready. She can take it, she can do it, she has the power, because this is going to tune her into her inner strength. This is going to tune her into her confidence. And because of that, she will be even more prepared to receive something even bigger from her. At times, you know, the preparation happens because receiving your gifts can feel challenging, just because we have lived in a world that it has some set rules, yeah? This is how you work, this is how you live your life, you go to school, etc. You know, perhaps not everybody, but the majority, okay? And a set rule. So anything outside that bubble is different, you know, it's weird, it's like, what's wrong with you? And so imagine that all your gifts just came in when you were on this bubble. It creates more tension, it might create more suffering in a way, yeah? So this is why the system like prepares you, because again, it knows your psyche. It knows how you can deal with these things, and it knows that you have been dealing with things. So then it sends you little by little things to prepare you for all your gifts, yeah? At the beginning of the awakening process, depending on how yours is, you know, and this time I am talking on the level of like intensity. So if all your gifts came up at once, okay, is because you were so prepared, and it guided you into something even deeper, because most of the time it's you that will guide others into the same kind of process. If it has been more like gentle, it's because there's a different route for you. That doesn't mean that you're not gonna, if you wish, that you're not gonna lead others through a process, but then your way of helping others will be different than actually holding space and doing shadow work with others. Yeah. So for me, that's why my gifts all came out at the same time, and it was very intense and it was very challenging. But I know, of course, that was my journey that led me into where I am, guiding others through similar processes. Okay. But again, going back into your system already knows what you can take, meaning your system already knows your strength at any moment in time. So it sends you in a way of awareness of the clouds or the programming. It sends you what you need at the moment, what you can take at the moment, what you can work through at that moment. So then you continue to prepare. It's like steps, different steps. Yeah. For example, for like swimming lessons, it's not like somebody's going to take you to the ocean and be like, there you go. I mean, I'm sure it has happened, but most of the times there's little steps it takes, before you actually go into like, okay, swim into the ocean. So it's very similar. The intelligence of your system already knows, okay, so she is going to be, and I'm just saying she just for an example, okay, she is going to get here, but in order for her to get here, there's little steps that she needs to take. So then how can we send her, this things of integration for her to be prepared for that major turning point in her life? So then it sends you little one, and once you're done with that, okay, you go back into integration, you're good, your system is routing everything, and all the codes are coming in, and then it goes another wave, so, and then another wave, and then until you reach here, because then you already have the confidence and you know that you can do it. And then you get into this point, and of course with growth, it's like, okay, we get into this point and that's not the end destination, but there's a newer destination, and again it goes with waves, okay? Waves sent by your system to you, because it knows exactly what you can do at any moment given in time. And this is what has been happening to open up more your third eye, like we were saying, your superhuman vision, your telescope. So the more that you have it without clouds around it, you can send signals to anything that you want to tune in and see it. This is also where a lot of times the astral traveling happens, where you can actually see the dream world. You can see it's different. You can see the little codes behind it. You can tune in into the messages the teachings as well. So there is so much that this part of you, I like to call it the telescope, like I said, because you can point it in any single direction when it's open, meaning when it's not clouded, when you have been doing so much integration and you feel your power, you feel your gifts, you feel your confidence. This is one of the things that happens, okay? As you continue to open up, anything in your being is still opening up your vision. And then you can choose, as simple as saying, guides, let me hear you. Ancestors, let me hear you. I'm open to receive all your messages. Can I see you as well? Can I see you, fairies? Can I tune in into the messages of the air? Can I listen to the tree? It happens. It happens. The more that this is wide clear, the more that you can send it in any direction. Again, it has billions of connections or even more, okay? Like no limits here. And so just like the web of connections, because this is what I'm seeing and I'm hearing right now, just like the web of connections underneath the earth, with the trees, is here too. It's here too. And it's also in the root chakra. But now that we're talking about this, it's here, okay? From here, you can send telepathic messages to somebody else. You can receive telepathic messages, yeah? But so if there's a lot of clouds, how are you going to do that? So So this is why, again, that push that happened, and some of you might be feeling it still, like that push, that all the shadow emotions coming through and not really knowing what's going on, but you actually do know what's going on, yeah? It's just the mind gets in the way at times and it makes you freak out, which is normal. It's normal. But going back into being with your breath, going back into your sticky notes saying like, I got this, I'm pure consciousness, I'm love, and I know I love my shadows. The more that you say you love your shadows, the more that your shadows will lead you into like in a way that is more gentle. If you push them away, just like pushing away your inner child, it might throw a tantrum, and it'd be like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do. But here you have the ability to talk to it because it's a part of your system. It's a part of your system. And this is really what I love about shadow work, because truly, again, the more this is clear, the more you can hear your shadow self talking. And then you can hold space for it, just like if you were talking to your best friend. And know that it's part of you. So of course you know that part. You're just remembering it. The vision is opening up, so then you are in a way realizing like, oh shit, it's you. Which in a way it's like, it's me. It's like, okay, cool. But of course, like imagine like somebody that was never able to see very clear, and they had to like have glasses, really thick glasses, to be able to see better, right? And all of a sudden, like it can see without the glasses. It would probably be like, exactly, so this is a very, very similar thing, with your system, that you are going into the space of like, whoa, this is me, this is how I can see it. But of course, before you get into like, whoa, there's gonna happen like these things of the mind, and it's like, no, that's not real, and all these things are playing out because that was your way of living for so long. And now the other way is coming through. And it's coming through very gently, but because there's also that tightness and holding onto the identity that you wear for so long, then it feels that it's just like a big wave just like slapping you in the face in a way, But here, like the more that you just soften and coming into the realization of like, who knows, maybe this might open me up a little bit more. Maybe if I let go of control just like 1%, things can be a little bit more gentle. And then see what happens, right? And then see what happens. And of course, have compassion for you for those moments that you cling into your old identity for so long. And there's like a remembrance right now, and something that they're just like telling me, your identity is continuously like shifting, just like everything in you. It's because you're moving, and you're growing. So it's shifting quickly. So how can you hold on to that? How can you hold on to that? So enjoy being in the ride. There was one time when I was a kid that there was this boat kind of thing where I don't know what they're called, honestly, but one of those like rides that you go and there's a boat that moves like this, right? And so like I was highly scared of heights, and my brother and my cousin convinced me to go in it, and honestly I thought I was gonna die. I was screaming and I was saying, please stop, and then my cousin was screaming at the guy, please stop. She's like, I don't know, I think they thought I was dying or something. Anyways, had I relaxed in that moment, had I been like, well, there's all these people around and they're having the greatest time, maybe it wouldn't been so sucky, And so it's a very similar thing. If you are in the wave, right? Perhaps just instead of like freaking out about it, just enjoy the motion. Enjoy the rocking motion. Enjoy like the wave-like motion, and see where that leads you. See where that leads you. It's again, something that's coming up right now is in a way when you're flying, right? When you're going from one destination to another one, and there's a random person driving the plane, right? Flying the plane, and there's times where there's like the turbulence, right? And of course, some people go like this, and some people just breathe and relax because they have the trust that like this person, has been studying and flying planes for who knows how long, and they have this full on trust in somebody they have never met in their life. The one that is driving is you. Okay? The one that is driving is you. The one that is going through the motions is you. The one that is waiting for you at the other destination is you. The one that in a way said bye for you while you get into the other destination is you. The actual form, in the example was the plane, right? The plane is you. So everything is you. Now like think about the other part of the plane. You're trusting the pilot and you don't even know. In this moment and in every moment in your life, you are the pilot. You're also the plane, and you're also the one that is waiting. Yeah. Oh, I love you, Mindy. So how about you tune into that trust? Because your system knows where to take you. Your system knows how to take you. Your system knows the motion that you need in order to arrive into a destination. Your system knows how to hold you. Your system knows how to guide you. Your system loves you deeply. And your system has always been there for you and will always be there for you, regardless of the form that you are in. Just the energies of life. And so we invite you to tune in into the trust. And having that inquiry, why is it that you trust a pilot, but you cannot trust yourself as a pilot? And is it because you believe that in this example, the pilot has studied for so long and has had has flown so many times? Well, how many times have you been in this journey? And you have been in this journey from the very beginning of existence, from the initial point to the end point that is not different. And at the same time, you're always in motion. So why is it the inquiry, The trust can seem to be challenging when your entire intelligence knows exactly what you need. So just something to have an inquiry about, And just feel. Be honest with yourself. Be open to receive that space. And then see where that leads you. Because honestly, at times, fear will come up. Yeah, anxiety might come up. Blissfulness will show up. And something will show up. You're having a human experience. And there's a reason why we came here, to feel all these emotions and to have this personal experience rather than knowing it all out there. But at the same time, remembering that even though, you may feel limited in your physical body, the energetics are connected to the physical body. And through the physical body, you connect with the energetics. They are limitless. And through that, you can drive anywhere or fly anywhere you want. You are in control when you are there, when you're moving in motion, with your system as a team rather than fighting it. And absolutely, you can. It's you. Your system will never lead you into a wrong direction. Never lead you into a wrong direction. It has your back, It has your back. Just like your mom did when you were in the womb. Just like Mother Earth does for us. Everything in existence has your back. Now it's just something in the mind that makes us believe that nobody has us. That we're alone in this experience. We're not. And the more that you're opening up to these spaces, in this awakening, the more that you're connecting with others that are going through a similar process, whether it was that they are, who knows, a little bit further into the journey or just begun, the connections open up. Just like, that web of connections of the third eye and the root chakra. There's the connection also through the awakening process. And again, the connectors that go are limitless. So many of them. Because there's so many of us waking up. And it's not only the ones here that are having this experience as a human right now, but every single being that had had that experience. How powerful is that? Through this telescope, you also can tune into the wisdom of them and their guidance. Because again, we're not separate. We have believed by condition or whatever it was that we're separate. And we're not. We're not. Remember the connecting webs of the tree, of the trees. Connecting webs of the third eye, of the root chakra, of you to others. Yeah? You're not alone. You're not alone. And in the confusion of the awakening process, in the intensity, those things will rise up. Because one of the challenges in humanity has been about that of separation. I really deep believe that this race is better than this race, that this language is better than this language, that this country is better than this country. A massive separation. So of course, as you're going through these processes, the separation, this loneliness things will come up. But it's coming up to be integrated. It's coming up so the clouds will release from all your chakras, from all those amazing points of energies within you. And then, you're free from that. You're free from that. And because of your freedom, you're opening up the space for others to feel free as well. So they don't live in that matrix anymore, but in the new earth. And that what, some call heaven on earth. Heaven is already you. You are already heaven. But now it's time to really accept it. It's not really about believing, really. It's about accepting, because if you don't accept, how can you believe, Accept who you are and your gifts and your power and your strength and your intelligence. And then once you do that, and once you accept you as you are, in whichever way, even if you come into I don't like my nose, whatever, but accepting it, then you are tuning into the wisdom that is within those little clouds that we're talking about. And you go back into remembrance and loving yourself and tuning into your intelligence, into your wisdom, into your gifts, because there's no more there's no more separation in your being. There's this full-on acceptance. And that's what you need as you go through this awakening process. Accepting that you're feeling sad, accepting that you're breaking all this codes, accepting that you might be blissed out of your mind one day and the next day you might not be, accepting that you're riding these waves to go back into what it is what it feels like to be you, what it feels like to have this amazing personal experience, but knowing that you are it all. You. And this is what it is, the acceptance of you. So then the journey can go a little bit more gentle. If you feel that it's a little rocky, the acceptance. So here is what Ganesh is telling me. Here's your little homework, See if where in your journey you're not accepting you. And that means your past, what happened in your past, what happened in the present moment, and what you believe will be in your future, You're not accepting your gifts. They're coming through right now. That's a big one. And you're not accepting your vision and your intuition. Are you so into the old identity that you were for so long, or the identity that you thought you were, And then see what opens up. See what opens up. And see if the cracking happens. Yeah. All right. And of course, please take care of yourself, Awakening can be challenging for sure, depending on the intensity of your journey. So of course take rest. Of course reach out for help. I'll gladly, have a chat with you if you're going through some intensity that you don't understand. And if you have somebody else, that's cool too. The thing is to have a support system. because then the loneliness codes, and the crazy codes are not as like strong, because then you have other people that are going through it or have gone through it, or like in a way they're further into the journey, so they can be like, yeah, I went through that and these are the tools that I used, or whatever it is, because then it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not alone. There's other people going through that. That was a massive shift in my journey when I found this community, and I think I've shared this before, of the sound healing that I facilitate inner dance. When I found the community of inner dance, I'm like, oh my God, this is like so normal. Thank you for all of you. And then it was a thing of like, this is normal. This is normal. So I'm not crazy. Yeah. So same thing. You find your community and you stick with them, You stick with them, and whatever, maybe you go in different directions, but you still have that connection and you can always reach out. So it's very important for you to feel safe in your journey, in you, within you, around you, and with the people that surround you, in whichever way it is, whether it's virtually or whether it's in person, okay? So that is the main thing, just to take care of yourself and to honor yourself whenever you need rest, or whenever you need to be alone, or whenever whatever arises, yeah? Again, the waves. Sometimes the peak of the wave will just ask you to rest. Sometimes the bottom of the wave will ask you to be alone. Sometimes the peak of the wave will ask you to be with other people, So it just really depends on whatever it is that is happening within your system. But again, the important thing is to honor yourself and take care of you, okay? Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. It's always a pleasure, like I said, to come online and deliver these messages that not only helps you, but also helps myself, as whatever comes up sometimes is the first time that I hear it. So, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's dope. All right, so let's be more conscious about integrating, the clouds around here. And if you need some kind of guidance with that, honestly, that's I'm such a nerd, and I'm totally saying the truth. I am such a nerd about the energetics and the shadow worlds and like the integration process, because it, to me, is so fascinating, the abilities that we have. And again, it happened with my journey, and that's why I dedicate my work with guiding others through it, because it's just like beyond amazing, the intelligence of every single system. And what it shows up in the energetics, it is that intelligence, of you. And that's just so amazing. Amazing that your system just deeply loves you so much, and it's there, and it knows exactly what you need at any moment in time, what you must feel, what you can handle. And it's just like, oh, it's like, wow, holy shit, we're so powerful. Oh, Amelie, thank you. Anyways, I'll stop nerding you out with all these things. So anyways, I love you all. Just one quick thing. So I'm redesigning a little bit my group program, and it will be a 4-month program to tune in into your own inner alchemy through the elements, which was a game changer in my journey. So, I'm just keeping you posted. If that is something that you feel about truly being into your own inner alchemy and activating the wisdom of the elements within you, because we're made out of elements, send me a message. I can keep you in the loop of this. So, because I did launch it a couple months ago, but now I'm doing something a little bit different with the energies to come on to have another rebirth through that. So anyways, so much love. Oh, and if you like to receive daily messages of transmissions in light language, join my Telegram group. The link is in my bio, or you can send me a message. I can send it to you, and you receive one Monday through Friday. All right. Love, 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 love. Have a beautiful rest of your week and an amazing weekend. Take care of yourself. Integrate the little clouds, go back into you, and just tune in into this amazing telescope that you have. Yeah. Juffies.